I am, let's see, got some muting to do, sorry.
Hey, we can only see half your head.
You know, I know, because my camera's not working. You're right there. So my dog looks at me over my desk. How's that? All right. So I am going to turn it off. Doug, y'all are now in control. You can start sharing your screen or whatever you need to do.
Go for it, Dennis. You got the deck, right?
I think, no, Kristen has the deck. Correct? Gonna do the videos? Okay.
Oh, hold on. I had it as a backup. I didn't know I was driving. I'm driving.
You're driving. You're
I'm
driving. Because it will fail on mine. I promise it will.
Why does Doug never have to drive?
Well, because he's.
You notice how I did pull that off? Yeah.
I'm just wondering how that happens. How are you the one that never has to?
He's the genius.
I don't have enough speed. I don't have enough speed.
Is that the lie you tell?
That is, yeah. But I consistently tell them the same lie, so it's okay.
So that works. I gotta get on. I gotta figure that one out. Consistently tell the same one.
Computer doesn't work. It's genius. It's been my rap.
Oh. Jeez Louise. Okay. How about that? How about them apples?
Oh my gosh, I'm actually tearing up a little bit.
Hold it back, Dennis. Okay, now I'm gonna mute my mic.
Just hit it to full screen when you can.
It should be full screen. Is it not showing?
Not yet. I want to hit the button.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh. Do you have full screen?
Yes, thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, now we're there.
Hey, it was the last webinar of April. I'm glad that it was this. This was the one.
This is it?
All good.
Officially the last one?
Glove drop.
Boom. All right, so let's just start this thing, Dennis.
Let's do it, Doug.
Without further ado, and Kristen's driving, so let's go to slide 2 and we'll do the intros. And Dennis, you can start.
Cool. My name is Dennis Beardsley. I work for, I've been in the industry for 27 years. 23 of the 27 I've been professionally training. For the last 5.5 years, right here, this is my training center in upstate New York, Albany area, Albany, New York.
And I'm Doug Craig. Been in the automotive aftermarket now 30+ years. The last 6 with Parker Lord doing the fuser line. And today what we're going to do is spend a lot of time on panel bonding, talk about some chemistries, adhesives, proper procedures, the must-dos, that kind of stuff. And nothing new per se, but good refresher course for some folks. And hopefully we've got somebody out there that's new to this. So the standard mission statements, but want to point out the antitrust. We're not going to talk about rates, hours, dollars, any of that taboo stuff. Go ahead, Kristen. You know, the foundation for this whole presentation is a training course that we would normally do as like a lunch and learn in a facility or a technical college, something like that. Just want to cover the basics of safety, a little bit on chemistry, storage and usage, and then we'll hit on all the preparatory steps when you're doing a bond. And at the very end, we'll pick up on the mechanical fastening side of before this is all gone, especially with aluminum. Next slide.
There's 4 chemistries, right, Doug? Acrylic, urethane, epoxy, silane terminated polymer, or STP. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So the way these work, acrylics are the smelly products. It smells like a nail salon. Work really well, bonding metals and providing corrosion protection. Epoxies are probably the traditional item in our industry for bonding and sealing. Epoxies are also lovers of heat. So if you need to speed things up, you just add heat. Urethanes work on the plastic side of the house or bonding to a primer or E-coat or paint. Always keep in mind they are moisture sensitive, so a super humid day causes them to react a little faster. And then the STPs, similar to the urethane family, similar to MS products, you know, these are moisture curing products. They have no HAPs, no VOCs, no solvents. They just cure via moisture being absorbed. So when you get into dry seasons and cool dry seasons, their reaction slows way down. So they kind of aren't what the label says, but that's just inherent in that kind of a technology. Go ahead, Kristen.
Practice safe work habits, right? PPE, gloves, respirator, clothing. There's a reason I have this on. I normally wear the adhesive. And if Doug's gonna have me gun out anything, I wanna make sure it goes on this versus my clothes, right? Avoid skin contact. You get it in your eyes, right? Gets past the safety glasses, flush immediately with water, and always refer to the SDS.
Yeah, we're dealing with chemicals, so give them the respect that they're due, and you'll have no problems. Next slide. So storing adhesives, we just don't want them in a super hot environment or a freezing environment. 60 to 80 is a real happy window. In the Fuser portfolio, you'll find packages that come in foil. And there's a reason that'll tell you that you're dealing with a urethane, and it's got a desiccant pack inside. It's just to keep the moisture away from it till you go to use it. Storing, when you're done working with a product, just leave the mixer on. It will cure up and become a new seal. And the exception there is anything that's a foam or an expanding product. You want to get that mixer off immediately because the material in the mixer is expanding and it's pushing back some mixed product into the cartridge. So get the mixer right off, gun a little bit of material out, and then put the caps on for storage. Pretty straightforward. Go ahead, Kristen.
Different dispensing equipment, right? So right behind me is, well, I got this, if you can see it. I got the pneumatic stuff. I've got this thing right here. This is pretty fun. All right. And last but not least, somewhere. Oh, yeah. The shotgun. Right here, pneumatic gun. Go ahead, Doug.
So the pneumatic guns just really let you get a lot of adhesive down faster, make the job move along. And some of the products are thicker, so we don't want to get Popeye arms. Go down the pneumatic path. Go ahead, Kristen. So probably the most important slide of the presentation. commonly missed items. When the material's packaged in the cartridge in the plant, it's packaged to at least capacity. So whatever we say the volume is, 300 milliliters, 225. But the pistons are usually misaligned by a smidge. So it's just critical that the first thing you do is level the pistons. So you're going to extrude a little bit of A and B out of the cartridge. Put your mixer on, put the nut on. And then when you're ready to start applying the product, we want to expend a mixer's length bead of material. We just want to make sure that the product is mixing well. It's a homogeneous mixture. And from there, we know we're going to get a cure. If you've got streaks in it, there's an opportunity that it won't cure properly, it won't have the right strength. So this is where about 99.9% of all issues that the phone-in issues or product failures come from. It's in this initial setup. So real important to remember, anybody that's using these products will make a mistake, throw a mixer on real fast, not thinking, and you just throw the mixer away and start over. You gonna do a hands-on with this, Dennis?
I could. Let's see.
Go ahead.
Can you see it? You can see that. And this is why we do that.
Yeah. How about I stop sharing real quick? That way you're more prominent for the.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. There you go. Now it's leveled like that. See? There we go. Much happier. I'm a one-man band, so bear with me. Okay. Put our tip on it.
Doug, do you want to talk through a little bit about what he just did there?
So what he did was just put the cartridge in the tool and applied force to the lever, which pushes out both sides of the product. Wipe it off, put the mixer on, and you see here he's running out a bead, pretty big bead. He's definitely from the sales side. The bead doesn't need to be that big, just a mixer length. And you can tell by looking at it if it's mixing and all mixed well.
What if the technician just wanted to hold that up in the air without the tube, without the nozzle on yet, and just squeeze a little out and wipe it off with a towel? Does it matter if the tube is facing up or facing down when you're equalizing?
Only with the self-leveling material, and we could get into that discussion maybe after this.
Yep.
You want to be cautious because some of the products are real thin, and you can actually squirt it out, and now it's airborne, going to land on somebody.
Yep. I've seen a lot of techs do that, where they just hold it up in the air.
Yeah. You really want to put it somewhere where you can mix it. So once it's mixed, it's going to cure, and now it's not hazardous. Otherwise, you're putting into the landfill, A and B. Dennis loves to do this.
Yeah. And it smells like acrylic in here. It's like I've been missing it forever.
You have to
hang it.
Cool.
All right.
All right, Kristen, we'll go ahead and skip the video because we had Dennis live.
We did have Dennis live.
And Dennis live in the house.
Boop, boop. Keep going. So temperature, right? So well, that's what we're going to talk about. Eventually, it's going to land there.
Yeah.
To Doug's point, right, Doug? We're looking for 70, but that's not always possible, right? So we're coming into the summer months. For every 20-degree increase of temperature, everything is cut in half, right? Clamp times, dry times, and so on. It also goes the other way. For every 20-degree decrease in temperature, everything doubles. Everything extends life. And, a lot of times, these cartridges are in a cabinet on an outside wall, and, it gets cold, right, Doug? I mean,
well, it soaks right through the wall.
Yeah.
So if it's cold, things are going to be slower. And if by chance it's the opposite, trying to a sun-loaded wall, it could be really, really hot by the time you go to grab it. you have to have a set temperature so that every product can be compared as to its time, but everyone's just got to keep in mind, summer's the worst when it heats up and things start getting fast. You know, you have to have thought ahead, really planned out what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to have unfinished adhesive somewhere, and it's locking up already.
Absolutely.
So
sorry to, Kristen, if you could go to my screen, and I'll show you right here. It will tell you when it was made, right? It was made, should put my glasses on, May 19th, 2019, and underneath it, best use within 24 months. So it's going to say it right there on the side. You know, some of these other things,
yeah,
a little harder to read. This is pretty self-explanatory.
pretty straightforward. You don't need the magic decoder ring to break down a code that's on it. Real simple.
I love this next slide. Structural versus crash durable adhesives.
Right. So crash durables are the new adhesive family. Everything we've got is a structural adhesive. The difference when you get to the crash durables, they have all the same characteristics of a regular structural adhesive, you know, strength, corrosion protection, and holding assemblies together. But the crash durables are tough. And by tough, they're built in, they've got some flexibility. The chemists that make them refer to it as adding rubber. So they hang on during a crash event as the panels crush or bend. The adhesive isn't micro cracking and letting it loose. What that does, lets these components follow their design. So they can either crush real nicely and tightly, or you can keep a whole sidewall of a car together and move the whole side in during a side impact instead of it just being right on a pillar. Everything just sucks in with it. But real important that if it had a crash durable in there, that you put a crash durable back in. If not, if there were a future event, it would act different. The other flip to this whole thing is, what if we don't know what kind of adhesive it is? You can't identify it using OE procedures. It's not published anywhere. If you don't know, then you use the crash durable because it just got added flexibility. It's still got all the same strength. So you're not going to make the car less than it was. You'll maintain the safety and the NVH characteristics and all that stuff. So let's go move on, Kristen. Said it once, say it again. Follow OEM repair recommendations, guidelines, procedures. And you want to check them every time you're working on a car because they're living documents nowadays. They change. Some of them, one pickup truck, I think, went through 11 iterations in 1 year on a panel. So you have to kind of keep up with this stuff. Some things are published on our website. The vast majority is going to have to come right from the OE. Not to badmouth anybody, but any third party is a delay in when they get the information from the manufacturer and when it actually comes to the field. So always keep that in mind as well. Go ahead, Kristen. So now we're going to get into structural bonding. Bonding can be just that, bonding, just adhesive. We could have resistance spot welding. We could also have rivets, and we'll kind of touch on all that as we push through it. But we've got a video we're going to run, and you ready for that, Kristen?
Yeah, we're gonna try it. I see that y'all didn't embed it again. It looks like you did a YouTube link, so it's probably gonna pop up another window. So let me.
I got a backup plan if it doesn't work.
Nah, there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's just a.
There it is. I'm rocking out.
Yeah. Are y'all? Or do you see that where it popped up, or do I need to change?
Did pop up? Yes.
You can see the pop up.
Can't see the pop-up now.
No, okay. So,
Oh, I thought it was that. I thought that was it.
yeah, you're steering me wrong there, Dennis.
Uh,
All right.
By following Lord Fuser's metal bonding standard operating procedure, you will learn the key steps for performing successful metal bonding applications, resulting in more profitable repair that matches the OEM quality and appearance. Before we begin, it's important to think safety first. When using seam sealers and adhesives, always
Doug, you
wear
have that
proper
right.
hand and eye protection. The first step in any standard operating procedure is to identify and understand the process and products required. Before beginning your repair,
Dennis.
check for OEM repair guidelines in order to determine if the application should be bond only, weld bond, or rivet bond, and then proceed with the proper Fuser standard operating procedure. For metal bonding, begin by removing the old panel. Take care not to damage the remaining panels. Where the original panel is spot welded, use a spot weld removal tool to avoid damage to the mating panel. Then, clean any remaining adhesives or sealers from the bonding flanges. Using a new panel as a guide, confirm all bonding flanges are undamaged and made up with the replacement panel. Make repairs as needed. Get ready for panel installation by having all necessary clamping devices on hand and determine if panel will be 100% bonded or if a butt joint requires MIG welding or MIG brazing. Prepare bonding flanges or replacement panel to receive adhesive. Clean all bonding flanges with solvent. Now we will review how to properly apply adhesive. Select adhesive based on size of panel, shop temperature, or OEM recommendation. Refer to product user instruction sheet, Fuser bead board, or Fuser.com for work times. First, level plungers and purge adhesive onto the bead board. Then, attach mixing tip and dispense adhesive to the length of the mixing tip. Apply adhesive to the bonding area. Install and clamp the panel into position. Release the clamps once the adhesive is cured. To finish the repair, tool any adhesive squeeze out if using Fuser 208B. If using Fuser 108B, wipe off completely. Follow your paint manufacturer's system application guidelines. Follow OEM procedures when available for detailed information on metal preparation. For more information, visit us at Fuser.com or call us at 1-800-234-FUSER to speak with a customer representative. Lord
Pretty high tech, huh? Not really. So, there was a lot of stuff going on in the video. And that's where you get this eye chart, but it's all those little details. Clean to begin with. Use the OEM recommendation for the adhesive if they have one. Same thing with grit selection. Don't go any coarser than 80. The metals are just too thin. You'll take them down to the point they become weak. But one of the tricks, if you're using the acrylics, it's real important that we get the zinc that's on the metal, be it a galvanized coating or what's called a galvanneal. I want to get that zinc away because the zinc can slightly weaken the acrylic. And all that means is that once you're grinding it, get the E-coat off, then you'll see gray. It's going to get shiny. You're perfectly down to bare steel. You put that bead, then you crush the panels together, that bead's going to spread out. We want to take the opportunity to make sure that if there's any areas that are going to still be bare metal, we can butter them with epoxies. Buttering, just manually priming with an acid brush, a rag, a piece of cardboard, whatever you got. Just want to make sure there's not going to be any bare metal in there, at least the best you can. And that always, at the end, that ties into the cavity wax. If you did miss something, you'll get it with cavity wax when you're putting the car together. When you put the panels together, if you were to pull them back apart and then go back together, you're going to capture air in the adhesive. With the case of an epoxy, what you'll have is just a weak joint. With an acrylic, that air is going to be part of what we call the air inhibited layer. So acrylics are always, when they cure on the surface, they're sticky. And all that amounts to is reaction of the adhesive with oxygen. It stops the cure right on the surface. Well, if you've taken the panel apart and clamped air in there, now you've got uncured adhesive between the panels. That's a bad thing. Mistakes happen. It's not that big a deal. Pop the panel off, put another full bead on, and made it back down tight. That will take care of the problem, because you'll have fresh adhesive. It'll push any air out of the joint, and it'll work well. You know, you've fit the panel before you ever got the glue out. You planned your clamps, where they're going to go, and you've planned, is it a bond-only panel? Is it a weld bond? Is it a riv bond? We want to get any mechanical fastening, and to me, even a spot weld is a mechanical fastener. We want to do all that fastening while the glue is still uncured. That lets you pull the panels together tight. It gives you the perfect bond line. If you let the glue set up and then start driving rivets in or trying to weld through it, you're not going to have a perfect fit. You know, and then so once it's all done, now clean up any squeeze out. If it's an acrylic, just get it gone. If it's an epoxy, you know, you can leave some of it there. It works just fine, almost like a seam sealer, or clean it up, whichever way you want to go. But it's the best time. Any comments on that, Dennis?
No, I agree with it. You know, the other thing is, you know, just to re-hit the sanding of the grinding of the metals. Make sure you get that epoxy. Make sure you get that galvanized off. As I'm looking at the galvanized, just make sure you get it off. And you know, if you can, Kristen, that's not enough. Okay. See, it's shiny. Much better, right? This is too much. Overheat it. So right in the center is what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
You just want to get down to the steel when you're doing the acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using an epoxy, that getting rid of the galvanizing isn't necessary. It doesn't affect epoxies in their curing. So just want to get the E-coat out of the way, and then you can bond and finish with the mechanical fastener. Go ahead, Kristen. We'll go to the next slide. So when you put these panels together and you start hitting them with clamps, some people worry you're going to squeeze out all the glue. All of the fuser adhesives have glass beads in the formula, and it limits the amount of crush you can get. Sets you up 10 mils, which is the perfect bond line thickness. If you want to know how much glue to have in there, that's it. Just as big as these little tiny glass beads are. If you clamp them, the beads aren't going to do anything. They're not going anywhere. And if you weld through, the resistance welder will literally make it go away. But the perfect joint is where you've got everything squeezed down right to that 10 mils. That'll be the strongest there is. Then again, it's all done. It's as good as factory at that point. Go ahead, Kristen. So while you're setting that up, so weld bonding is, again, nothing more than we're bonding the panel on, and we're using resistant spot welding equipment to put the spot welds in.
By following Lord Fuser's weld bonding standard operating procedure, you will learn the key steps for performing successful weld bonding applications, resulting in more profitable repair that matches the OEM quality and appearance. Before we begin, it's important to think safety first. When using seam sealers and adhesives, always wear proper hand and eye protection. The first step in any standard operating procedure is to identify and understand the process and products required. Before starting any repair, check the OEM repair guidelines in order to determine if the application should be bond only, weld bond, or rivet bond. Then proceed with the proper Lord Fuser standard operating procedure. To start the weld bonding process, remove the old panel using care not to damage remaining panels. Clean any remaining adhesives or sealers from bonding flanges. Prepare for the panel installation by having all necessary clamping devices on hand and determine if panel will be weld bonded or if a butt joint exists requiring MIG welding or MIG brazing. Prepare bonding flanges on replacement panel to receive adhesive. Clean all bonding flanges with solvent. Select adhesive based on size of panel, shop temperature or OEM recommendation. Refer to product user instruction sheet, Fuser bead board, or visit Fuser.com for work times. Prepare Lord Fuser adhesive for application by purging the cartridge and leveling the plungers before installation of the mixing nozzle and running out a bead to ensure an equal mix. Apply Lord Fuser adhesive to the bonding area. Install and clamp the panel into position. Begin squeeze-type resistance spot welding the panel into position following the OEM or welder manufacturer guidelines. To finish the repair, tool any adhesive squeeze-out if using Fuser 208B. If using Fuser 108B, wipe off completely. Follow your paint manufacturer's system application guidelines. Follow OEM procedures when available for detailed information on metal preparation and welding guidelines. For more information, visit us at Fuser.com or call us at 1-800-234-FUSER to speak with a customer representative. Lord Fuser Aftermarket Repair Adhesives. Lord Fuser, the leading name in aftermarket repair adhesives, is proud to introduce Fuser 208B Panel Bonding Adhesive. Lord Fuser 208B features a new epoxy formula designed with no odor and no tack. In addition, the 90-minute open time makes 208B ideal for large panel installation and repair. Our new formula allows for primer and paint application over the adhesive immediately. This reduces cycle time while still providing excellent corrosion protection on each repair. Lord Fuser 208B is ideal for panel bonding, weld bonding, and rivet bonding. Fuser's aftermarket repair metal bonding adhesives now include technologies to meet the needs for all types of metal bonding applications in the auto repair industry. We provide acrylics for quick room temperature cure applications, epoxy for structural applications where crash durable strength is needed, and epoxy for non-structural panel bonding. Our products are designed to make your repairs faster, safer, and better than ever before. From the OEM to the collision repair shop, we've got you covered. For more information, visit us at Fuser.com or call us at 1-800-234-FUSER to speak with a customer representative. Lord Fuser Aftermarket Repair Adhesives.
Excellent.
All right. I think you got a double there, folks.
In this
Second
segment,
video
you will learn
got
how to
added.
weld bond a roof panel using
We are back. So the welding is what holds the panels together. Once the welding's done, the adhesive can cure on its own. Vehicle can be moved. There are other ways to attach the panels together, aside from welds. Aluminum, you see a lot of rivets because it's not impossible to spot weld, it's just very difficult to do it. And there's only, I think GM is the one that has the patent on that process. So we're seeing more and more riveted applications, primarily the self-piercing rivets. So we put pictures down the bottom of the slide. That's the second from the right. The SPRs are very precise in their length to accommodate both the panel thicknesses that we're riveting and the dies within the tool. So if you see that picture, it's got like a cup shape on the bottom. Everything adds up to create that dimple, push the rivet in, and have a locked repair. The more traditional and solid rivets, if you think about the way that skyscrapers used to be built, where they would use red hot rivets and buck them, bend them over on themselves. Still possible to use that stuff, but mostly what you see are the rivets with a pull shank. Some people call them pop rivets. They're not pop rivets. These are structural rivets. They're strong as a weld. And then more recently, both GM and Ford using these flow drill screws. The idea behind that, they spin them really fast. That turns the metal almost to the point of molten. And as the screw pierces through, the automated equipment slows down and it just torques it in place. Have to check with the manufacturer. Ford says they're not reusable. GM says they are reusable. But once you've got all this mechanical fastening done, the car is locked together, the adhesive's probably not cured for sure. But you could go ahead and, if you were on a rack, a fixture, you could start defixturing. And with that, we've covered our content. Love to get some questions.
And I'm checking. Yep, I'm getting in there and checking. Checking on the chat room. I don't have anything in the chat room right now. Y'all always just cover everything so good, you know?
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to unmute their mic, if you do have a question, now is the time to ask it while you got these two guys. Dennis has nothing else to do, obviously, than play in the training center, and I know he doesn't want to go home. So he'd probably answer a question about anything right now, or demo anything right now if you asked him.
Yeah, what do you want to do? I'm locked in here.
Yeah,
No one's getting in.
You can hit a raise your hand thing inside the chat room, or unmute your mic, or type it in.
Is there a proper way to store the open cartridges?
So when you say open with the mixer on,
Yes.
correct? Right. So aside from the expanding foams, you want to leave the mixer on. And in our cabinet, there's from the bottom, you can push the cartridge up through and it'll just hang there. You want to set it on the end and keep it pointed up, only because some of the products have, in the urethane families, they have what's called polyol, and it's a liquid. It's so thin it will find the path of least resistance and leave you a little black puddle on your top of your toolbox or in your drawers. If you've got it hanging upright, it tends not to do that at all.
I just noticed the way Dennis was storing them, and I was questioning it.
Dennis, how are you storing them, Dennis?
They're upside down because they can't really, they go like, they fall through. I can adjust that though. You know what? I'll adjust
That's
it.
interesting. So good point. Thanks for bringing it up. The 231 NVH material is the one that's probably got the most polyol in it, and it'll leave a little black puddle, you know, where you laid it down after, not, you know, minutes, I mean, it's after a couple of days.
This one's never been popped.
So you got a question in the chat room right now. Can you use 2098 exclusively on repairs, or do I need the 108B as well?
So if you're following OEM recommendations and you're doing all cars, you know, each manufacturer has their chosen products. So I'll use the F-150 as an example. Ford wants 108B. If we switch over to GM, GM wants 2098 on all the late model stuff. So if you're gonna follow the rules and do it right, you're gonna have a couple.
Yeah, so we always teach that following the rules, you're going to have maybe even a couple brands sometimes. Maybe it's just something you only order in for that one repair, but you've always got to follow the OE and make sure that you're putting on there what it says. There's no one size fits all, especially in adhesives. Next
So
question.
got another, yeah, there's a good one here. Is there any adhesive burn off when you spot weld while the adhesive is wet? So let me go back over that again. You always want to spot weld or drive your fasteners, rivets, while the adhesive is wet. When it's wet, we get to compress it. We get that tight bond line. In the case of spot welding, yes, you're going to burn the adhesive off at that spot weld. It's going to be annihilated. That is not an issue. You're going to have a metal to metal weld at that point of contact. You're going to have a very small area of now destroyed adhesive, but the whole flange is bonded, and that's calculated in, you know, when the vehicle is designed. It's the same way out of the factory if it's a weld bonded panel. It's going to be burned away right at each weld. Don't worry about it.
So another question that came in, is it best to use a file belt to remove a weld?
So, you know, file belt is the new tool. I've used a rotor broach my whole life. I've got a belt. They work great. It's whatever works. You just don't want to be turning each weld into a glowing pool of overheated metal. That's too much damage. Slow it down, take your time, and make it go away.
One thing to keep in mind with a file belt sander, just to add something there to keep in mind, because I see a lot of misuse of the file belt sander. I love them. I think they're great. But you should not be putting a divot in the attachment flange. So to get a weld out, you shouldn't damage where you are going to be attaching. Then you have a gap, so that glass bead analogy, that perfect space that Doug showed, that was brilliant. When I make that extra divot, because I push too hard with the file belt and I go through the weld and into the donor panel, I've now messed up that bond. So just let the tool do its work. Don't push on it. It don't need your help. That's what I always tell people. It don't need you.
Haste makes waste. Question, can you release the clamps after welding or riveting, or leave it clamped? Once you've welded or applied whatever the mechanical fastening is, then the clamps can be gone, because now that's the attachment method. The clamp was just there to hold it all together till you got it permanently affixed. Has 208B always been able to immediately top coat, or is that new? Top coat. Is that a paint question?
Mm-hmm.
There's been no changes to 208 since the day it was launched. So nothing new there.
So if that's whoever has that question, if there's more clarification, if you can give us a little bit more, or unmute your mic, or say hey to us, or type in a little bit more there, we'll dig a little deeper on that one. Dennis, I feel the need to tell you that that with the striped shirt under the, I was almost like, it's almost like you're picking up trash on the, I mean, like the.
I like it.
Like it's like the weekend prison uniform then.
I learned my PB&E needed to be lighter underneath with all the stuff I wear.
Yeah.
No passing out.
Tell us painters.
Yeah, I know.
The year-round sauna suit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so primer, has it always been so let's go back to the 208. Has it always been possible to immediately top coat with primer?
Are we top coating with primer, or is it that we're using it as a primer while we butter the flange? When you're doing epoxies, you always want to put a little bead of adhesive down and spread it out. What I call buttering, some people call priming. You can, whatever tool you want to spread it with. Yeah. That guarantees you got 100% coverage. And then put your bonding bead down so that when you mate the panels, then that'll squish out. It does ever so slightly give you a better bond strength as well.
All right. Any other questions? Anything we want to see Dennis just try to do? It's the last webinar of April. I feel like, I don't know, should I make you guys sing or something?
No.
You want this thing? We can do that. Get the air gun out, spray some seam sealer, whatever you want.
Yeah, one of my favorite memes of all time is an air chisel, and it said, "Let me play you the song of my people." I was just like, yes. So
feelings are gonna pop out hearing that.
yeah. What do you guys think of my bat cam? So that was it. So,
I was wondering what the heck was going on.
Yeah, so apparently these the cameras are, they're about this big. So apparently they installed them upside down in the office, so I get to have them come back. Bat cam. Or I could just say it's my bat cam. I ordered it from China and see what, awesome.
And let me follow up on that one question. When we developed 208B, I did a bunch of testing, and you can in fact go to primer when it's fresh and wet. It stuck just fine. Generally on a repair, that's not really going to happen because there's going to be other steps in the operation before it hits paint. But it worked fine with the materials that I tried. And obviously I can't try every single paint line that's out there. So I always say, try your paint. All the systems are different and they're ever changing. What worked last year could have an upgraded sealer this year and maybe it doesn't. So as the new paint products come into the shop, you always want to check them before you do a whole car. Make sure they're still compatible.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's a great way. It's a great class. You guys killed it again. I know I got some notes. I know Ashley and the gang's on here, but they're not going to talk to us. But I got some notes that we're going to throughout May. We're going to have some more. The RSG team's going to come back together, and we're going to do some more training in Spanish. So that's going to be exciting for May. And then maybe we just may have to think of some different things to talk about. Can we do boat repairs, Doug? Can we do
boat repairs? We do seam sealer.
We could.
Yeah. I see now that Dennis, you can get in the shop and everything. We ought to do some seam sealer matching stuff, like texture stuff.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for all that you
All right,
put in
Kristen.
the entire month of April to just keep delivering all of this training. Sometimes when you don't know what to do, the one thing you can do is just work and grow your brain, right? So couldn't have done it without you guys. And we will look forward to new and exciting things to come up with for May. So if you guys have suggestions, if there's something we didn't cover, this will be the 51st webinar of April when we close today. So if we did not cover something and you're like, man, I wish you guys would have covered X topic, shoot it to us. We would love to get to that topic for you. So everyone have a great day and have a happy May.
Cool.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.